Okay, so they do stack.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Four Words Podcast.
Sorry.
Yeah, way to go, Scott.
That is gonna be good. I'm so ready for that. I'm gonna edit that in, and it's just gonna feel nice.
Way to just kill the beginning. All right, my name is Aaron Doom, spiking in your house. Welcome to the Four Words Podcast. We are a Trinity Force Network podcast that is dedicated to helping you move forward in League of Legends. I am joined by three somewhat acceptable looking gentlemen.
I will take it.
Okay.
All right.
Bitch, I'm fabulous.
I'm joined by Scott Haberdashing Interrupting Sesterhan. Michael Asterition Matthews.
Hey guys, how you doing?
And Stephen Frostbite Allen.
SKT all the way.
Hey, do you prefer being called Steven or Steve?
I guess most people call me Steve, but I go by either.
I was wondering. Anyways. So, thanks for joining us, everyone. News today, let's jump into it real quick. So, first off, and most importantly, Extra Life stream. We are doing the Extra Life stream, and if you don't know what Extra Life is, it is a charity that encourages people to do a 24-hour stream. That day is Saturday, November 7th. We'll be starting at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time and ending at 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Sunday, the 8th. It's a 24-hour stream. All the money raised goes to Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And check our subreddit for more information. We have a lot of information on there about what donating does and gets you. We've got some awesome people joining us. We've got the guys from the Just Okay Gamers podcast joining us for some games. Guido's going to be doing some shoutcasting, which should be hilarious.
Guido here with another Just Okay guide.
That was
really
actually
good.
pretty spot on.
I've watched a lot of his videos.
We're gonna have some. That's awesome. We're gonna have some D&D. We're gonna have a Hearthstone King of the Hill tournament, which will be pretty fun. We've got a website, a 1v1 website that's going to be joining us, and all the money donating through them, like betting through them, is going to go to charity, but also for donating through them, you're going to be put into a drawing to win some free active gear from their sponsor. So we're going to have lots of cool stuff on the stream. Please join us that day. Any money you can donate is awesome, and you can start donating now, bit.ly/tforcekids. Our goal is $3,000. I see no reason why we can't hit it. And we're going to be updating the subreddit with more information as we go. We're trying to convince Chira, if we hit a certain amount, to shave his beard on stream. We've got Lashakin to shave his beard on stream. We're gonna get some crazy stuff going. So keep watching the subreddit. It's gonna be fun. Worlds Party. If you're listening to this, you're already too late. But if you're joining us live on Twitch, Worlds Party is Saturday, October 31st. That's this Saturday. If you're listening to this, like I said, you're already missing it. 7 a.m. at the Gateway Film Center in Columbus, Ohio. Watch Worlds on a big screen, hang out, get some swag. I know Chira's going to be there. I think a few other guys, Punch, possibly Badger, and a few guys. So we'll have lots of people there and be giving out some swag. So come hang out and say hi. Also, we're running low on emails, so hit us up. We need your emails. We want to do another listener question episode pretty soon here. The last time we did this, you guys
this is so dangerous. Like, seriously,
us a tsunami.
We're asking for emails right before preseason. Oh my god.
So So send us emails, and we'll do our best.
Spamming the crap
love
out of
your
PB
emails.
right now.
But,
Yes.
there's obviously a lot of crazy things coming up. But as always, if you have any questions about anything League of Legends, let us know. We'd love to talk about it on the show.
Absolutely. And from there, we're going to hop into our trinket tip. Our trinket tip this week is brought to you by Stephen Frostbite Allen on input buffering. Go ahead, bud.
Input buffering. So this is a pretty neat trinket tip. It's actually something that works pretty well with summoner spells, which we're going to get into a little bit later in this episode. Hint, hint. Input buffering is basically this idea that when you cast an ability outside of your range in League of Legends, your character sort of like, for a lot of abilities, your character moves into range, and then after they're in range, they'll do the ability, which is okay. I mean, that's just how the game is coded and everything. But when you can actually make actions happen quicker when combined with summoner spells or with different essentially you can get abilities off quicker when you use this technique called input buffering. And just to give an example in case it's sounding complicated, imagine you're playing Annie and you want to drop Tibbers on someone. If you were to go up to the enemy and you were to flash into range and then press R, I mean, that's still pretty quick. Don't get me wrong. That's going to mess up quite a few people. But you can actually get that combo off slightly faster if you press R on where you want it to go before you're in range. And as Annie is moving into range, if you flash into the range, it'll cast the ability instantly after the flash. So it reduces the window for your opponent to react by a small amount, which honestly in League of Legends, every second counts. Like that second or part of a second could be the difference between your opponent flashing your ability or maybe popping a barrier or maybe just like killing you before you get your ability off.
Or like you kill them before the team can react to it. Like maybe the jungler was coming in and you just killed them too quick and now you're out before they can even, realize what happened. Like that happens a lot as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's huge. So I mean, input buffering, you may not like notice from the external side, like just like whether or not your teammates use it, but it's something that if you practice it or if you're not already doing it, some people might just be doing it by playstyle. I think I was input buffering before I even really knew what input buffering was.
Mm-hmm. Same.
But if you're not already doing that, then try it out. Try casting an ability outside of range and flashing into the range, and see if you notice a slight difference in the speed of the execution.
Absolutely. All right. Well, from there, we're gonna hop into our item breakdown this week. Our item breakdown this week is on Rod of Ages or Roa.
Roa.
So, Rod of Ages. Rod of Ages is an item that is pretty unique. It builds out of a Catalyst the Protector, which builds out of a ruby crystal and a sapphire crystal, and then a blasting wand. The combined cost after the blasting wand and the Catalyst the Protector is 650 gold. So Rod of Ages gives you 300 health to start, 400 mana, and then 60 ability power. But every minute it will gain 20 health, 40 mana, and 4 ability power up to 10 times. Also, every time you level up, it restores health and mana over 8 seconds. So this item is an item that you want to get as early as possible because you want to let it start getting those stacks. And it's very powerful once it's fully stacked. But the whole point is getting it early so you have time for it to build those stacks.
Mm-hmm. That's honestly the biggest mistake I see with people on this item. They're like, oh, I want a tanky AP item, and they try and get it in like the mid to late game, and it's just, by that point, it's not going to work out so well. You really want to get it early on so that way when you need those full stats of the item, like it's fully stacked up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What would you guys say is the rule on like when you should kind of forego getting this item?
You should.
That's the thing. Like with this item, like with its base stats, it is gold efficient. It is.
Are you 100%,
sure? Yes. At its base stats, it is gold efficient. I mean, it's 2,700 gold, getting 60 ability power, 400 mana, and 300 health. So I mean, like, But that makes like stacking it up all the more worthwhile and why you should get it earlier.
Yeah, totally. I didn't know that it was 100% gold efficient at initial buy. I mean, at that, then maybe, yeah. Like I would say the stopping point. I usually won't buy a Roa past 20 minutes if I don't have a blasting wand in my inventory already. Like, if I have the catalyst, then obviously I'm already working towards it. Like, clearly. Like, why would I have the catalyst? But if I bought a blasting wand because I was like, ah, shit, I just need a blasting wand because I can't stay in base any longer and I need to go. And that's usually my go-to, like, split-second decision buy because it builds into so many things. So if I'm sitting on that at 20 minutes, then I'll buy it. But anything after that, if I don't have either components, then I'm not going to buy it. It's not worth it at that point. Not to
Okay. I'm looking at the breakdown right here. The base stats are 107.59% gold efficient without the passive. At 10 stacks, it's 189.18%
like
gold efficient.
Which I understand, but at the same time, like
compare that to another item that you could buy at that time.
well,
True, like Morellonomicon, which
Exactly.
is 120% gold efficient.
right, but you have to look at the type of champs that you're going to build this on,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you could build it on like your standard AP mid, and I mean, yeah, it is an okay item to buy, but you want to get it on the champs that do AP damage who are going to be close in your face. So you either want it to be on like a short range AP like bruiser type, or you want it to be on like a tankier champion that has AP damage, that so it kind of gives them more damage than you would expect them to do. Like top, it's basically a core item for either Maokai or Singed.
I like Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath's probably one of my favorite people with this item, especially the way his ultimate works. It works really well with this item.
Absolutely.
I disagree with your with how you say specific champions should buy it or don't buy it. Like the way that the game is now,
Well,
I feel
not
like
should. I think it's a good item for them. It's a good option.
oh sure,
It's
for
not-
sure. But I think that champions that are going to take damage, this is a perfect item. Like it's absolutely flawless in the sense that
Yes.
it builds over time and it's damage reduction against both armor and magic damage, which is always good, especially for a mid laner. And it gives you mana, plus it gives you a bit. Like this is a great item for if you know you're going to get some focus, not if you think that you're just going to be a bruiser-esque champion, because that's not necessarily true. Like if I'm playing Lux and I know that I'm going to get focused, I may actually buy this item. Like when usually I won't, because I'm a back-end mage where I'm just throwing out spells and you can't get to me. But sometimes I know, like, okay, the Vi's gonna get to me. There's nothing that's gonna stop her. The only thing that I can either do is get a Zonia's, which I already have, but that's gonna get baited out, or I build a Roa and get some bonus, resistances. And I feel like that's how you know if you should build Roa. Are you gonna get focused? Then yeah, I think it's a great item, especially early.
The fun thing I think about this item is that the passive doesn't stack.
Yeah.
So you can build more than one Rod of Ages.
That we used to,
kind of
I used
funny.
To see so many Rise players doing that. They
Singed players,
build
too.
Multiple Rod of Ages.
I remember like Civ HD's old LeBlanc, he'd build like 3 or 4 Rod of Ages.
Don't follow Civ though. He's not necessarily good at the game. He's just famous.
It's fun though.
It's fun though, right?
Videos.
You're running around as a LeBlanc with an extra 2,000 health.
It is pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean, basically TLDR. If you need health, you need mana, and you need AP, it's a pretty solid item all around. Don't be afraid to buy it. Just be careful buying it too late, because you want to make sure you're getting the most of your investment.
Yep.
So let's go from there into our main topic this week. Our main topic this week is on summoner spells. So real quick, guys, let's break down what is a summoner spell, how many do you get, let's take it straight to basics here.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'll say that, first of all, if you're relatively new to the game, pre-level 30, definitely check out episode 8 of our show, where we went into a lot of detail about the basic mechanics of League. But as a quick refresher, in League of Legends, in addition to the character's abilities that you're playing as, there are 2 summoner spells that you can assign to your character at the start of each game that are not unique to any particular character or champion. And you can just basically say, this game I want to have this extra ability, or this game I want to have this extra ability, and you get to choose 2 of them.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is that good enough for like?
Yeah, that's great. That's perfect.
Yeah. So there are a bunch of summoner spells. There is Flash, Barrier, Clairvoyance, Clarity, Cleanse, Exhaust, Ghost, Heal, Ignite, Smite, Teleport. Now there are also special ones that are in the all random, all mid map and the Dominion. We're not going to cover those right now. We're just going to cover the main ones that you're going to find on Summoner's Rift.
We're all tryhards here.
Yeah. So we'll cover those. And first off is the number one, probably the most coveted summoner spell. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Flash.
Can I marry this summoner spell?
It's just gonna try to get away from you.
Yeah. Well,
instantly
get in line because there's a bajillion other people.
So Flash is an unbelievable ability. So a lot of people, when they're new to the game, one of the first things they notice is everyone is taking this summoner spell, and they're like, I don't get it. Why does everyone seem to have that? It's just like everyone's really confused. Why is this thing so good? Flash allows you to teleport a short distance instantly, and it also allows you to go through terrain at the same time, which opens up an unbelievable world of possibilities that if you were just limited to what your character is capable of, like, it's just the game honestly is balanced around this summoner spell being in the game.
It kind of is true. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that much in League of Legends that the game is balanced around it.
Yeah. All right. So I like it because it can be used offensively or defensively.
Well, you could say that about a lot of abilities depending on how you use it.
Exactly. But that's like the fun in it is because like if you use it correctly either way, it's so effective. Yeah. Because you can escape certain death. You can get the perfect initiation, that you can, you can combo it with certain abilities to where they're like more effective. Like you were saying in our trinket tip with input buffering. There's just so much you can do with it.
We talked about this last week, where we talked about Zhonya's Hourglass, and I said it's my favorite item because it scales with your game knowledge and how well you understand the game. Flash is the exact same way.
Absolutely.
Like, a new player is going to be like, oh, look, I have a tool to escape a gank when I mess up or I miss position. And like they only use Flash to get out of a bad situation. An experienced player will recognize very small windows of opportunity that are only possible if you can flash a certain distance, and like they will use that ability to just win games.
It's crazy what you can do with like the simplest, like just turn on a flash. Like you dodge a spell with a good flash, and all of a sudden you're in their face with like an Annie ult or something like that, and it's just like made possible by Flash and Apple Cider.
Yeah.
Flash just shows up on the screen like, you're welcome.
Yes. Like, you can dodge a skill shot, you can dodge a ball, you can dodge a wrench, whatever you want to dodge with it, you can dodge. You can also use it like with certain abilities, like we were saying, Shen, Flash Taunt.
I kind of want to talk about Flash's properties real quick because I feel like it's an undermined value that a lot of people don't recognize. Flash is, it's got a long cooldown, so that right there says a lot about it. It's valued. Getting somebody's flash, that's considered a successful gank. If my jungler comes in and takes my enemy mid laner's flash, I'm pleased with my jungler. That makes me happy. So right there's value, but there's more to it than that. Like there's a specific sound that also comes with Flash. And recognizing that sound and being able to recognize, oh, okay, that guy just used flashed, time it with the cooldown, like you can pair that with it. You'll also get more in tune with like the distance, knowing how far it is. A good recognition of flash is if you're standing in mid lane next to the turret on the close side, the flash distance is from that side to the bush. It is like the perfect angle. Almost. It's that much distance. So if you're standing right next to turret in mid lane and you go to the bush just on the other side of the wall in the jungle, that's how far flash is. And recognizing these properties will make you better as better with flash. And this being the most important summoner spell, like I feel like that's really important, you guys, to focus on and learning the distance and sounds.
And to add on that the sheer ability to traverse terrain with a summoner spell is an incredible property. And I mean, even like if you think about one of the things we're going to try and do with each of these spells is talk about when you should take it and when does it make sense to take it. Honestly, before you ask yourself that question for a summoner spell, you're almost always going to end up comparing it to Flash for the champion, because Flash it's basically the baseline. Like it's good on every single champion.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, it's in any role in any champ, you can basically almost always guarantee you're going to take Flash. There are certain strategies where you might not take Flash, but I mean, I'd say 95% of games you're probably going to take Flash in one of your spots.
Yeah, unless you main a champion that has one of those very specific strategies.
Yeah.
Right.
Should we?
Well, so, also real quick, it is on a 300-second cooldown.
Ooh, yeah, good.
So it is tied for the highest cooldown summoner spell
With teleport.
teleport.
But only if you teleport. Only if you teleport to something that isn't a tower.
Well, let's talk about that.
So yeah, teleport. You cast it on a object that is something that isn't a champion, and I say object because it could be things like Teemo mushrooms and Jarvan flags and at one point Morgana Q. So it's weird, like you can teleport to a lot of things. Basically, if you teleport to a turret, you get reduced cooldown by 100 seconds, and if you teleport to something that isn't a turret, you have the normal 300 seconds. And I mean, that says that right there is the basic description of teleport. Its intricacies are far more complex, which you definitely got a taste of in our recent episodes about teleport.
Teleport is the other, like, between Flash and Teleport, those are really some of the most high skill cap summoner spells, because there's just so many different intricate uses for them. I think with Teleport, there's a lot of little nice things, like being able to get back to lane if you're in a rough matchup. Like, that's a very basic use of the spell. But what really makes it stands out is just the ability to show up or pressure one side of the map and then magically appear where you need to be at a given time. And it's a fantastic summoner spell, and it's the whole meta has shifted around it this season. Top laners have had a lot of impact because they're all running this spell, and even though they're often a side lane, they find a way to show up to team fights. It's really, really impactful when used correctly.
Yeah, but not the cool thing about it is that more than just top can take it. Usually you're going to see it top most, but you're starting to see more mids take it too, which I really like. I think it's kind of cool.
I don't like it at all. Mid is already in a fantastic position to roam. Like, teleport is just a cheap, easy in for initiate mid laners, and I don't like it. Like, I like initiate mid laners, but it's so
get to any lane,
meta, and I dislike it.
You can also get to any lane between 7 and 10 seconds earlier than you would just by walking.
True. But like I said, mid lane is already skilled at that, and it's just the LCS meta right now. Like, I don't think that it should be mirrored especially in solo queue, and probably not even in a lot of solo 5s either, or ranked.
I think it's okay in mid for
specific yes, it's a very specific comp, and LCS just happens to really favor that heavy initiate with the teleport engage comps.
Well, so what are the criteria? Like, why would I take teleport over anything else?
If you need to get into the middle of something without taking a shit ton of damage or being stopped on the way, it's a fantastic item. It's
also
summoner.
really good as in a defensive capacity too. If you're somebody that needs to like go back at certain times, or basically as long as you are able to not get forced and crushed by your lane opponent and you're going to outscale them, I sometimes see people take it defensively. But the Asterishan's point is probably the biggest point, is the ability to show up in a side lane or show up to a fight and be right in the thick of it, especially when combined with home guards, which is a really important interaction where you'll show up in the middle of the fight and then you'll move like 1,000,000 miles per hour because you teleported from the summoner pad.
It's super important to be in the middle of the fight with it as well. Like positioning with the teleport is hands down the most skillful aspect of teleport. Is where do you teleport when you're coming into a fight? When and where, sure, but like when is gonna happen? Like when comes quickly. It's the where is like, okay, where will I be most useful? Like the when is occurring. It's right there.
No, that's. I think you're underselling the when a little bit.
The when is actually pretty important.
Yeah.
Right, because like it is a 3.5 second channel, so the enemy has that 3.5 seconds there to move from the spot that you are teleporting to.
And they will, because they're gonna see you and they're gonna be like, "Oh shit!"
Well, but that's where the where is important. Where you teleport can definitely determine if when even gets changed. Like if you're teleporting to a ward that's not recognized by the enemy, then yeah, you can teleport to that whenever you want, and probably under the radar.
You gotta remember,
I've said it here, I've said it in like Battle Arena, Bronze Boot Camp, that sort of stuff. You need, if you're taking teleport, generally you need to teleport before you would need to teleport.
Oh,
yeah.
totally true.
If you're asking whether you should use teleport or not, it's usually too late.
Yeah,
it's a very narrow window, and the last thing you ever want to do is like the fight ends, your team gets like aced, and then you show up like, "Hey guys!"
Speaking of that, like, did we talk about canceling your teleport?
Yeah, I was literally gonna say.
You can. Yeah,
right.
Go on.
So not only, so the cooldown normally for teleport is 300 seconds. If you teleport to a turret, it's 240. If you cancel your teleport, it's 200 seconds. You can cancel your teleport just simply by pressing the summoner spell again. So if you know you're not needed, or you're just gonna get killed, or it's not gonna be worth it, you can press that. Whatever. Yeah.
You can also cancel it by moving. So you want to be very careful where you're clicking when it's channeling, so that you don't accidentally start walking and cancel your teleport. But you also have to be very aware of where you are when you start your teleport channel, because you can even use teleport to escape an unfavorable trade. Say if you're getting beat on and you're close to dying, but like, you've got that chance, you can teleport to like a turret to be safe. But one thing that stops your teleport channel is hard crowd control. Any root, snare.
No. Yes.
Any root, snare, knock up, not
silence, fearing,
not slows.
Hard CC.
Not slows. So be careful where you are when you're using it, because that is one way to get got. And kind of going into playing around it, if you can ever stop an enemy from teleporting, do it. And if the enemy has teleport and you see them starting to teleport, or if you know they have teleport, sometimes it's best to hold on to your hard CCs for that, because if you can stop them from teleporting, it's just beautiful.
It's super funny because then they don't know what's going on too. They're usually looking at the bottom. Why am I no longer here? What the? Why is my?
and then their teammates too get baited because they thought their ally was coming in.
Yeah. So definitely always, if you can stop an enemy teleport, save that hard CC for it and do it, and knock them out of it, and just be careful when using it. But also in solo queue, teleport is a very good spell, but like we said, you really have to use it effectively, and you have to use it to be good with it. It can be like a saving grace for getting back to lane really quick, so you're not like losing that much CS. But you really, unless you're using it to its like full potential, it's almost a waste of a summoner spot. It's really tough to justify it over other
Yeah.
things, such as one of the next most popular
I have
ones.
one quick tip about teleport though. Just I liked your segue though. I will
You
admit, it
killed
was
my
great. I'm
frostbite-esque
sorry.
segue.
I'm sorry. It's just I felt like I needed to say this one. When you're using teleport and beginning to learn it, I highly suggest you turn on screen flash on damage so that you can recognize when you're getting engaged on if you're teleporting and you're looking down, exactly what we had just mentioned, because that is a very easy pitfall to get into. Is you're in the middle of teleporting and you get interrupted and you have no idea what's happening because you got interrupted, and if you didn't have screen flash on damage, then you wouldn't have any idea. And I'm pretty sure that's off by default, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
So turn that on if you're running teleport. Super
I'm not even
useful.
sure what that looks like.
It flashes red on the side. Whenever you take damage and you're not looking at your screen, it flashes red on the side. It's like kind of like a transparent red. It's very useful.
All right. Well,
As Stark says in the chat, I just wait for my screen to turn gray when I die.
Right?
I got engaged
that's-
on.
yeah. So then the next most popular summoner spell is Ignite. So let's hop into Ignite.
The man mode summoner spell.
It is.
Gotta love Ignite. Ignite is where you basically set someone on fire, and it does ticks of true damage over time. And what this is commonly used in is as a finisher. There's multiple uses for it, but its most common use is in imagine a 1v1 lane, and it's like a snowbally lane. Mid laners, especially assassins, generally love this summoner spell.
I know what you're thinking. We'll get to it.
Okay.
Somebody go, like, there's a duel, and then all of a sudden there's like a 1v1, and the enemy laner like tries to flash away because he knows he's gonna lose the fight. Surprise! Ignite was on you, and you get ticked, burn, dead, and then you get a kill, which could honestly snowball you to an early lead that you might use to get a whole lead in the game.
Yeah. I guess the one thought that came to, it's a great explanation of Ignite. It basically, true damage, like, that is amazing right there. Best damage in the game, like true damage, because it's absolute and you can't stop it or negate it. It's just damage that's flat. But I think there's a very important value of Ignite. It's the reduction to heal. And in an early game, that is, I think, actually the most important part. Because in the middle of a fight, especially at like level 2 or level 3, when health pots are healing for a quarter of your health, sometimes half of your health, like, that Ignite is completely negating that by 50%. And like that is huge. Like, not only is it ticking away damage, but it is completely stopping the enemy from regenning that same health. Because in the middle of a 2v, like level 2 all in, I'm just thinking of mid lane because this is so frequent where you're blowing Ignite at level 2 early. Like, you see that Ignite ticking on somebody that is trying to pop a pot, and they're not genning anything. In fact, they're going down in health. It's great. Yeah,
and it's fantastic. It's honestly, for champions that are really reliant on heals, like a Vladimir or a Dr. Mundo is a very common example. If you're able to all of a sudden shut down the amount of healing they can get with Ignite, which has Grievous Wounds is the mechanic, if anyone's interested in the exact name. But once you apply that Grievous Wounds from Ignite, like, they become like different champions. All of a sudden, they actually become killable.
On Swain, holy shit, that is hilarious. You're like, oh, yes.
Really important. Like, if there's major healers on the team, it becomes, okay, who wants to take Ignite? And a lot of times that'll either fall to the mid laner or support.
Or sometimes
a lot of times people. Ignite is seen as
those are the more
Ignite
common.
is seen as like the YOLO, like, oh, I'm selfish, I'm gonna try and kill my lane opponent, but it can sometimes be a utility spell.
Well, I mean, not only utility, really, but also like, it's important to recognize when you have advantages in trying to snowball the lane. Like, if you're a Blitzcrank in the bottom lane, getting a pull with Ignite, and a lot of other supports in the bottom lane.
Guaranteed kill.
And we've had other questions about this. Okay, do I take Ignite or do I take Exhaust? And taking Ignite is really important when you want to get your lane ahead.
Mhm.
I feel
But
like
remember, you have to use it and you have to
Yeah.
try to get kills.
Yes.
It's important to use it earlier rather than later, because like
again,
in
catchy on the try to get kills from Doom, but yes.
like in the bottom lane anyways, if you're going up, chances are the other side will at least have one heal. Using the Ignite on the person getting healed out damages the heal and completely negates it.
Exactly. It's super important to use this when people like sometimes as a support, if I'm running Ignite and I know that I'm playing against somebody, like say it's just a Leona that I'm playing against, and you know she doesn't have a heal, and the enemy ADC is about to pop their pot because they're sitting at, I don't know, a quarter health. If I see them blow that pot, I will literally walk up to them and blow Ignite on them just to reduce that pot, because I know for a fact that the damage that I'm going to do will negate what they did, and I'll do more damage to him. So not only is he wasting 35 gold, he either has to choose to stay in lane and be super low on health, or back and waste time. So no matter what, that just got effective. And with that Ignite blown, we could maybe potentially pick up a fight right there, because he's now ignited, and one quick, you know, Ash arrow or something like that finishes him off.
While I don't disagree with Asterishan that there's more uses to Ignite than just as let's get the last tick of Ignite to kill them when they get out of range, or as a finisher, probably one of the things that one of the smartest uses of Ignite, or where I see a lot of skill involved, is how well you know your champion and what you're able to do in a short window.
Right.
Like you see somebody like a Riven main who's blown the enemy laner's flash. If the enemy laner tries to stay and tries to like get CS under turret, like a good Riven's gonna know that if I get into range and I flash stun, ignite, and then get this much damage off before the tower goes ham on me, I can get that kill. And like that kill pressure, especially when combined with something like flash and hard CC, is where like Ignite really comes to give you that extra edge to snowball.
For sure. I agree. It also gives vision, if you're curious. So if you ignite somebody and they try and stealth, well, too bad. And if they go into a bush, you temporarily have vision of them, and then they disappear.
Yeah.
So maybe we should talk about what we hinted at before, shifting focus towards bot lane. What's that other thing that the supports typically take when they're not, aside from flash and ignite?
Exhaust.
My life.
I feel like this is actually the more skillful of the two support summons. Exhaust, yes. I honestly think that it is like this is used in like when you really are like, okay, I have to shut this person down super hardcore, and the way to do it is usually through exhaust. Sometimes it can be ignite, but more often than not, it's gonna be
it's
exhaust.
more ubiquitous. It's safer. It gives you more utility, but as far as learning when to use it, that's definitely a lot harder.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I feel like it's definitely a more challenging spell.
Let's say what exhaust does here, just so everyone's on the same page.
So exhaust, it has a 210-second cooldown. It exhausts an target enemy champion. It reduces their movement speed and attack speed by 30%, their armor and magic resist by 10%, and the damage that they deal by 40% for 2.5 seconds. So that's all damage is reduced by 40% for 2.5 seconds.
So the thing that I feel most people use this spell for is for the damn slow, and it pisses me the fuck off, because I'm like, there's so much more to this. God, you use it when they're running away. Why are you using this when they're running away? Like, why are you not using this when they just blew their load on me? Like, that's when you should be using this spell. When you're negating how much damage they can do while also increasing how much damage you can do, while also decreasing how quickly they can then react. Like, that's when it's most important to use this spell. Not when they're fleeing away from you and you maybe might be able to get the kill if you blow exhaust. That's not effective use of this spell.
It's really good for shutting down people who are heavily reliant on pulling off an assassination, or really reliant on or a lot of auto attacks, like AD carries, or somebody like a Zed is a a classic example of somebody who gets exhausted a lot because
Yeah.
they want to be able to do a lot of damage in a short window. And when you're able to both reduce their damage and reduce their attack speed, and also the bonus of that reducing their armor and magic resist, but mostly reducing their damage and attack speed in a short window, on those champions, that's life or death. Like, their plan was to kill you, and all of a sudden they do like way less damage, and they're like, oh crap.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you want to shut down an assassin or you want to shut down someone who needs to like carry early and it's going to be very aggressive, or like we talked about, Ignite. One of the best ways to counter Ignite, like you already know if someone gets Ignite that they're probably going to be pretty aggressive. So a good way to counter Ignite too is with exhaust, because if someone's going to try to combo you for a kill, exhausting them, you can just completely negate that, and now they've burned all their cooldowns and all you really did was burn an exhaust and you're not dead yet, and you can get an advantage off that.
It really shuts people down in a very frustrating way. Like, I mean, there's very few things in this game more frustrating when you feel like you're gonna go like Super Saiyan and like kill like 2 people or something, and then you show up and you start doing like no damage whatsoever, and you're moving slowly and you can't hurt anything, and you're like auto attacking once every year. And
good
it's
exhaust just tear me apart. Oh my goodness! I'm just like,
it's
you
really good.
Fuck you little. Oh, I hate you so much right now. You shut all my damage down. That's what
it's a great deny tactic too. Like that Yasuo thinks like, oh, I'm gonna ult him because I got him under half health, but he's kind of close to his turret, and then you're like, sup bro, you're exhausted, and then he's like, dang.
I've ran this mid lane before when I was like, oh shit, I do not trust this ADC, and I was like, I think I might need to back him up more, because usually if I'm debating running something other than Ignite in the mid lane, it's probably Barrier, because I know that they have heavy burst, and I'm like, I need to stop that. But on the off chance where I'm like, okay, I also need to watch out for my other teammates, I'll run Exhaust mid lane. Like, it can work, especially against a Zed or a Talon or a Riven or people like that. Yeah. It's super, like, it does effectively what Barrier would do. You know, it negates the damage that would be done to me while also giving me an opportunity to do something back to him.
Right,
and
you can't forget the Armor and Magic penetration.
Exactly. It gives us also another opportunity in the sense that we get bonus damage too.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, so obviously there are ways you can use it. A lot of times it's used as a counter or used defensively, but I mean, it's an awesome summer spell. So we'll kind of
get good in a duel as well, just in general.
Yeah.
So we'll get into the more defensive summoner spells here. So let's get into Barrier here. So
I feel like we should, in terms of Barrier, I feel like we should just talk about Barrier versus Heal.
That's a good idea.
Well, I don't want to undersell Barrier though, because a lot of people are like, "Oh, Barrier."
Well, let's talk
Heal.
about the points between them.
All right, so Barrier shields your champ for between 115 and 455 damage. It's 95 plus 20 times level for 2 seconds. You can only cast it on yourself, and it has a cooldown of 210 seconds.
I love
Heal
this spell.
Is a summoner spell that can be cast on yourself or an ally. It has a cooldown of 240 seconds. It restores between 90 and 345 health. The formula is 75 plus 15 times level health to your champion and the ally champion nearest to the caster's cursor, or the most wounded ally if no target is near the cursor, as long as they're within 850 range. And healed champions are debuffed for 35 seconds, causing any subsequent heal cast on them to be 50% less effective.
So you can't stack heals very effectively.
And effective champions gain 30% movement speed for 1 second.
Going like with that heal debuff, it also applies to other champion abilities like Vladimir's Tides of Blood, Frozen Domain,
Soraka
Vicious
heal.
Strikes, Spirit Visage, Second Wind.
a lot of times I get asked the question, why would I ever take heal versus barrier or vice versa? And if you got to think about what are the subtle differences between the two, because there are similarities. You're using it typically defensively, and one of them's permanent and works on multiple people. So it sounds like, okay, heal's better, but you have to keep in mind, first of all, the cooldown difference and the amount of damage absorbed. So if in bot lane, it's very common to see people running heal because heal is a 2v2 lane. So you get the bonus effect of using it in conjunction with your support. So not only might it save your life, but it might win you a 2v2 where your support survives or something like that. But when you're off by yourself, you have the decision of, okay, I can use something while CC'd and have a shorter cooldown. That typically is a move towards barrier.
You hit the perfect one that I wanted to mention was you can use it while CC'd. It's amazing, people. Like, that is the best part of barrier. It is like it's the reason why I'm like, oh, I'm against that person, I'm running barrier. Like, it's my instant go-to defensive spell. Like, I love barrier because it's, like I just said, I think it's a great spell. And it's a very short cooldown, believe it or not. Like, it ticks by pretty damn quick. I think it's at like
210.
Yeah, I was gonna say a couple 100 seconds. So I mean that's fairly quick for a spell like that, and it gives you more for your health. It's temporary health, granted, but if you know how to use it, holy crap, moly, you can shut down so much damage. In the same way that
exhaust is good against like AD assassins, barrier is really good at screwing over people that are like burst mages that really want to CC you and then like 100 to 0 you, because it's like, surprise, I can still shield myself from damage even if you start to CC me.
It's one of those things, like, although barrier does have the potential to shield you for more, and it's not affected by grievous wounds, and you can cast it when you're CC'd. With heal, like I said, you can heal 2 people. It gives you that automatic health that it's not going to go away after 2 seconds.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. That is the upside to it. And you got to think about, like, when you're deciding, okay, do I take heal or do I take barrier? You got to look at, okay, are you in a duo lane? If you're in a duo lane, that definitely puts an advantage into heal because you're better. You're always going to have access to, like, a lot of the core mechanics of a spell, at least in barrier. But with heal, if you can't utilize that bonus to giving bonus health to a teammate, like, you're neglecting half of the spell just by that. So it's not very effective in the mid lane, and this is usually why you won't see it there.
So there's another defensive summoner spell that is also commonly used in the mid lane, and is also quite a good option when the enemy laner has hard CC, and that is Cleanse.
Yeah, I actually very rarely run this mid lane, more often as a ADC.
Yeah, that's also a viable. It's a viable option if hard CC is going to be a significant threat for you, and more specifically, non-suppression hard CC.
Yeah. It's the thing about mid laners is we have Zhonya's. So like if we get fucked in a situation, oftentimes Zhonya's is our saving grace. While as an ADC, like frequently you don't have an out like Zhonya's. There's no item that gets you out of a situation like that. So that's why I value Cleanse a lot on ADCs, but it's definitely got its uses in mid lane too, for sure, especially on assassins. Oh, a lot on assassins. I see
it used against me quite a bit because I play a lot of TF.
Exactly.
Twisted Fate in particular is a common candidate where people might say, oh, I don't want to get gold card and jungle gank, so I'll run Cleanse to reduce that being a threat.
Now let's throw this out real quick. Cleanse only lets you cleanse out of stuns.
Well, everything except suppression.
Everything
just say everything
suppression.
except suppression, because that's way easier than listing
except
else.
Suppression and hard CC, like knockups or knockbacks.
It's hard. Stuns are still hard CC.
Displacements. It's a different type of CC. Displacement is like it's a throw in the sense that like it's part of the mechanic. It's not necessarily CC. it's more like you're flying through. It's CC in the technical term, but you can't really think about it that way as well because it's not also CC. It's weird. Knockbacks and knockups are weird.
The main point to make here is that if you see the enemy team has a Warwick or a Malzahar, don't think that Cleanse is going to be a get out of jail free card.
Yeah, exactly. Or a Skarner.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess to keep moving things along here, another common summoner spell that it has a lot of uses both offensively and defensively is Ghost. It's probably what I see a lot of newer players do because is Flash available at when you first start the game?
No, it's not available until level 11.
Level 10.
11.
12.
12. I think it's
12.
I think they reworked that. I I don't think it's 12 anymore. It might be like level
whatever.
8.
Maybe it's 7.
Whatever.
Either
way.
way.
Yep, you're right. It is 8.
Either way, this is a really good ability if you have the ability to actually chase something down or need to get away over a large distance or really just benefit really heavily from movement speed.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those spells that's there are a very small select number of champs who may even take this over Flash sometimes. It's very, very minute, but like Olaf is one of them. You could also consider it on Hecarim. You could even consider it on Singed. You could consider it on Nasus, and you could consider it on Vlad. And what's the other one that's very popular?
Just to explain why this is so good is if you think of someone like Olaf, or if you think of someone like Singed, these champions, especially Olaf, doesn't value getting on top of you and then like insta killing you like the way other champions do. He just likes to be able to run really fast and be completely immune to CC.
He wants to be next to you the entire time.
Yeah, he wants to just run at you, straight on at your face, and stay on your face.
Just axe the crap out of you.
He sustained damage. It's a difference between can you burst someone down before they can get away from you from flashing, or do you need to be next to them for 7 seconds straight?
Right.
Yeah, it gives you 27% increased movement speed for 10 seconds. So that's pretty nice.
Itself, unless you're slowed below 157 movement speed, I think, you will still travel farther than Flash over the whole 10 seconds.
Yes, but it's not instant.
Right, it's not instant, though. So, but, like, you can still travel farther with this spell is an important thing. Plus, you can upgrade it with Distortion.
Yes,
that's what I was gonna say too. I play TF mid a lot with Flash and Ghost. There's other options that are available too, but if you go Flash, Ghost, Distortion is usually a really good pickup because that ability to have it on a much shorter cooldown and all the extra movement speed, like you just become way more mobile. And if you're someone like Olaf, like it's gonna be really hard for them to get away from you because you're just going to be so fast and constantly sticking on top of them.
Yeah, and I tend to like this summoner spell a lot when used in tandem with Flash on certain mid laners when mid laners that want to stay on top of you because they may not necessarily be able to burst you. But they want to
pretty common thing with TF, right?
Yeah, TF is very common. Vladimir is another one.
I would say it's honestly it's been more popular lately if you are running in mid on champions that are perfectly fine to deal damage from a distance and just need to be able to safely get in and out. Like if mobility is a major problem, like Varus and TF, for instance, like if they can get in and out safely, like they become a lot more effective, even if they don't have like the kill pressure of an ignite, for instance.
Absolutely. It's a great summoner spell, and don't be afraid to take it sometimes if you just want to try it out. Especially if you're like the type of champ that, like we we're kind of talking about, you need to stay on top of someone. That's when you want it, or you want to be able to get in and get out quickly. Like
I think it's niche as shit, and I don't like it, but that's just me.
It is niche.
We're going back like 30 episodes here talking about this.
Well, we're speaking of
and Mike's beef with it.
As if we're talking niche as shit.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. Smite. I picked up on you. Smite.
Wait, what the?
What? I thought we were going for okay.
Oh, that is
I
not what I
we
thought you were
in-
going to say.
Oh no! Yeah,
Out of the
Smite.
3 we had left,
Yeah.
you
You
picked
picked-
literally every
Smite
game.
shit, Smite,
We
because
haven't
No.
talked about
unless
the
you're
No.
playing
alliance or
jungle, there's
clarity.
really no point to getting Smite.
What? You
Well,
build a
unless
top lane
you're
sometimes.
level, I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever.
Used to.
Okay, TLDR and Smite. If you're jungling, you have to get Smite in order to build the jungle items. If you're not jungling, it's there was a point where people were taking it top for certain things. They've kind of nerfed that down, so there's no point to getting Smite if you're not jungling.
I would just say the primary purpose of Smite, and this is something that was a really big problem last season before they had the jungle rework, is that a lot of people were like, "Oh, I can clear the jungle without using Smite. So what's the point of taking Smite?" But the entire purpose of this summoner spell, or like the main reason why it's so important and it's still used in competitive play, is that when the huge objectives on the map get low on health, like Dragon and Baron, all that matters is that you secure the last hit on that objective. And if what you need for that to make sure that your team gets it and that somebody else doesn't just come by like, YOLO, I'm taking Baron, you need to be able to do a lot of true damage to Baron when it's low on health. And that's what it does. It secures objectives.
Absolutely.
I remember when I used to main Fiddlesticks jungle and think that I didn't need Smite.
Yeah.
Well, you a long time ago.
It was a long time ago.
But I mean, basically, you use it to secure objectives. You use it to kill jungle camps, and you can augment it with the jungle items. We could dive in deeper, but that'd just be doing a jungle episode, basically. And then finally, the last two, which are probably the two most useless summoner spells in the game.
Whoa.
It's
Whoa.
not their fault.
Clairvoyance is actually...
Okay,
It
at
can
one
be
time it was
okay,
useful.
But
now
scrying
it's useless.
orb exists, and what's the point of...
Yeah, that's really the
That's
thing.
the thing.
Okay, so
let's just
TLDR clarity clairvoyance. Clarity restores 40% of your maximum mana to you and nearby enemies in an AoE, 180-second cooldown. Yeah, it sounds okay, especially if you use a lot of mana and your team uses a lot of mana. It's horrible. You should never get it. Don't ever rely on it. If you cannot manage your mana to the point that you have to rely on a summoner spell, you're playing wrong.
Yeah, that's really it.
That
like,
is
clarity,
the entire point of clarity.
Clarity is really not a great summoner. It's pretty much the worst one out there because the answer to mana is just to get better at mana management. You don't want to give up a combat summoner or something like Flash or teleport just so that way you can have more mana. You should just know how to use your spells more
effectively.
properly.
Effectively is like the whole, like, this is the band-aid to people that don't know how to use their mana right. Like, that's it. Like, it's not the solution to stopping the Mundo from tearing apart your team. It's your band-aid for your lack of skill. You know, it's not counterplay. It's counterplay for yourself because you just don't know how to manage
And
your
late
own
game,
mana.
like getting mana back is really not that impactful when everyone has a ton of mana.
Yep.
Whereas having the ability to like flash over a wall or to exhaust someone could like be a game deciding ability.
I want.
Yeah.
Oh man, clairvoyance makes me
And
sad.
clairvoyance. Okay.
It used to be
TLDR
so
clairvoyance.
good. Oh,
Okay, yes. Okay,
used to
it
be
was a good
amazing.
summoner spell. All it is that it reveals a small area of the map for your team for 5 seconds. There's a 60-second cooldown on it,
It's
which is
so
and it's a
short.
global range. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
It's this
those
cool
are the
cooldown.
difference. It's 60 seconds
And global.
It's global.
And
it
global.
reveals the whole area for 5 seconds
Now
versus a far sight orb.
It's basically been replaced because of
That's
Farsight
the
Orb.
thing. It's not global, but it's 4,000 units. It reveals an area for 2 seconds, and then you get true sight on the champions that were inside of that for an extra 5 seconds.
And
Yeah.
on
And
top
it places
of
a
that,
visible ward.
and
for
on top of
the
that,
last 6
it
seconds.
opens
60
up a
seconds.
summoner slot for whatever you want.
Right.
Like that's the key bit too. Is like that summoner slot is now open to whatever else you want.
Yeah.
Now. Rather
Yeah,
than
I'm
being
gonna-
taken up by what as an ADC, a fucking red trinket.
I'm gonna throw it out
Right.
there. With preseason coming up here, I wouldn't be surprised if clarity and clairvoyance either are taken out of the game or
Change.
It makes
or
me
changed.
sad because I
Yeah.
really miss clairvoyance being
It's-
super good. Being
Yeah.
like, I know how to use this. I'm gonna tell exactly where you are every second in the jungle,
Yeah.
and I know it. I know everything about you. Like this was my season 2 reliance when I mained Leona. I was going back and forth between Exhaust Ignite main and Flash Clairvoyance. And that was like, if I need to play defensively, Flash Clairvoyance. If I want to play Ham, Exhaust Ignite.
So it's just kind of just left in the game right now. So
Yeah, so just never use those two and you'll
Yeah.
be good.
Especially clarity.
yeah.
Never use clarity.
Never use Clarity.
Never.
Don't
Right.
use it on freaking A range
like
either.
with everything else, I hate just saying like there's never a time to use it, but like
No.
there's never
And-
a time to use clarity.
No.
League of Legends isn't perfect, okay? This spell is shit, all right? It's just
Yeah.
shit. That's plain and simple.
Sorry.
Yep. And all right, so I think that kind of wraps it up. Any last thoughts on summer spells, guys?
Not that we can fit into this episode.
Yeah.
There's so much more in depth we could have get into on summer spells, but we kind of wanted to do like a TLDR on each of them, who gets them,
Yeah.
when should I use it, why should I take it over this, and playing around it.
Yeah, I was gonna say the one piece that we didn't have too much time to talk about, and we could elaborate a lot more in another episode, is playing around summoners cells is really important. Like knowing flash timers, knowing you can punish someone because they don't have flash, or knowing in bot lane that you have exhaust and the enemy bot lane doesn't. These things are actually crucial and really important. So learning to play around them is really a big deal.
If you're a jungler, you basically need to always know flash timers. Just remember, it is a 300-second cooldown, so that's 5 minutes. So when you gank a lane, if they burn their flash, you basically have 5 minutes to go back and gank them again,
And
where it's almost free.
turn timestamps on and say something like Ari Flash. That's it. Ari Flash.
Yes.
That's all you need to say. And then all you have to do is
Mid
just
F,
press Z.
top
Just
F.
press Z. Just press Z. And you go over to the side, your little Z button, and you hit it, and you just scroll up, and you see right there Ari Flash, because you said it when she flashed, and you're like, okay, it's been 5 minutes. I know when
We
it's
could
up
almost do a trinket tip just on that button, like being able to hit Z.
Yeah.
now. Fucking Z
right.
and looking up.
So, I mean, from there, that was summer spells. If you have more questions on them, like we said, we are looking for questions. So please email us or hit us up on Twitter. And last but not least, we were going to get to it last week, and I think I accidentally may have put it in the description of the show. So sorry about that. So we have a question from Echo on what our thoughts are on getting coaching from someone like Last Shadow or something like that. If it's worth the money to be critiqued by someone who can teach me a lot and be very hands-on in a short time, or should I stick to internet guides and videos? Can't wait to hear what you have to say. I will say first, for us as a network, we kind of do offer this as well to an extent. Patreon.com/TForce Network. You can support us, and by supporting us, we will do things like this for you. We can review your games. We have tiers where people will help you out on a little more personal basis, things like that. But also we have free ways to do that by checking out our Battle Arena or Bronze Boot camps. You can see the schedules for that at TrinityForceNetwork.com, so that you can get involved in those. And there you will get some free people watching your game, giving you tips, giving you 3 tips to work on after the game, and some awesome shoutcasting, and it gives you a nice replay of the game from a neutral perspective. But I'm
gonna chime in here and take it back to the question.
Yeah.
Is it worth it? And honestly, my first point I'll say is that there's no substitute for actually playing the game. Like, I know a lot of people out there that have go for coaching, and then like they think that like overnight they're gonna be like challenger or something. Like that's not how it works. You do actually have to practice what you learn. But it's really, I personally really value coaching, and I think it's gonna come down to what you go into it for and what your expectations are. I think it's fantastic if you're looking for guidance, or you feel lost, or you want another perspective on something that you don't fully understand.
if you're going into coaching, I think it's really important to have a specific goal in mind, whether it's a champion that you want to improve in. Don't just go into like coaching, say, I want to get better at like mid lane.
Everybody, I want to get better. Like
Yeah,
that.
it's important.
that
Like, and the
doesn't
good
help.
coaches will be the ones to work with you on identifying and helping you improve on that specific goal. When it comes to finding coaching services, first, I don't want to tell you what to do with your money.
Yeah.
Because like there are coaching services out there where I see like $40 an hour. Are you fucking kidding me? No way. If that's what you want to do and you think it's worth it, go for it. I would say it's important, I think, to stay away from the sites that offer elo boosting with coaching, because that's a lot of the sites. That's what they're trying to push. There are sites like lolcoaching.com where that's all they do. It's just coaching and seminars. Skillcap.com, same thing. Skillcap, I love if you're just trying to learn a champion. If they have like college lectures basically on champions, which are really, really nice if that's what you want. But it's important, like you're building a relationship with someone to help you learn the game. I've done a little bit of coaching here and there. I've been coached on certain things. I can say if you're really looking to get better at the game, find a good coach, someone that's been well reviewed, has a lot of other people they do coaching for. Just take the time to find the right person beforehand.
Yeah, I think coaching will, like teaching and other things and just like learning as a general thing. If you value coaching and you know that you get a lot from coaching, then I think coaching in League of Legends is great. And if you can find exactly what Haber said, a great coach that's reviewed well and is clearly knowledgeable and good at what they do, then yeah, more power to you. And I think you should go for it because coaching it really can be helpful. But again, if you're not that type of person and you don't get a lot from being coached, then again, back to what Frost said, there is no substitute for just playing the game and learning it on your own. That's what I did. That's how Dad does it. That's how America does it.
Yeah, I think coaching helps you to identify mistakes in your play, and it helps you to point out areas that you might not normally notice or you might not realize how impactful they are. And it gives you direction and something to focus on that you can apply to your own game. And in that sense, I find coaching incredibly valuable. I personally have received quite a bit of coaching in the past. And I think to the original question, the one thing I will say is that you said, what are your thoughts on getting coaching from someone like Last Shadow 9? I don't know what his rates are or anything, but a lot of times people get hung up like, oh, this guy's challenger, or this guy's like an ex-pro or something, so his coaching's going to be like way better than whatever. It just because somebody's really, really good at the game doesn't mean that they're necessarily a great coach, and you might gain just as much from talking to somebody. Like if you're in silver, you're probably going to gain just as much talking to, or more, talking to a diamond level player who's like,
I mean the highest.
Yeah, go for it.
Well, on like the site that I like to use to look up coaches, lawcoaching.com, their highest rated coach right now I think is in platinum, but just because like he gets such good feedback from the people that he coaches. I agree with Frost, don't get hung up on the rank.
Totally, totally mega totally.
It depends on the coach because not everyone that's like high rank is a good teacher. And also, it depends on what kind of a learner you are, because it doesn't matter even how good the coach is if you're not the type who's going to take coaching well, because you have to remember too, a coach is going to be critical of everything you do. And if you're the type that doesn't deal with criticism too well, you're probably not going to do very well with it. So also, remember that.
I would say if you're going to go for like those really, really expensive coaches, like I would say that's only worth it if you're already like an extremely, extremely high elo, which is like a very like really narrow percentage of the player base. Like I would say for most people, just look for somebody who you trust or somebody you value their feedback, or somebody who's, 1 to 2 tiers above you, and just like try and get them to analyze your play, give you feedback, and then the most important thing about coaching is that after you get the coaching, don't just sit on it. Like,
Yes.
actually
Yeah.
apply what they say and make a goal for yourself to improve on what you learn in the coaching session.
Yeah, I think that
wraps that up pretty nicely.
Uh-huh.
Well, guys, I think we'll just call it there.
Let's head it off. Yeah.
Good night,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
Take
We'll
care.
see you later.
Thanks.